and to have that taken away from me, like it messed me up in so many ways. But I needed to be messed up, right? I needed to get back to Jesus. I needed to really, get things in line. I needed to grow. That's what happened. I grew.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Tales from the Journey. I'm Stephanie Zamora, and today we are here with Dominion, who is the founder of Minion Training, and his mission there is to help people get in the best shape of their life, both mentally and physically. And what I love, I was peeking through your videos and your website and your social media before this interview, is that you do that primarily with body weight, which I think makes getting in shape really accessible. And I also love the mindset pieces. I was also listening to your podcast, which is very digestible, but very powerful. Short little podcast episodes, bringing in just so much about purpose and mindset. And I just think the work that you're doing is incredible. So I'm so excited to have you here today. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. It's an honor to be here.
I'd love to start with you sharing just a little bit more about yourself and what it is that you do.
So yeah, my name is Dominion Ezechiweze. Don't try and say that at home, kids. Um, so currently I'm 22. I live in DC. I'm an online personal trainer, social media marketer, content creator. I have a podcast called Minion Motivation. You said briefly, it talks about just helping people find their purpose and mental health, especially emphasizing mental health, especially for men. We are so underlooked and undervalued when it comes to mental health for men. And when you look at relationships, like if the man is not good, if he's not handled mentally, like financially, physically, all that, the woman won't be good. The relationship won't be good, right? So we need to, really help our men. So I'm really trying to do that. Also, I'm also an R&B singer. I have a couple songs out, EP out, an album coming out in May. What else do I do? I do a couple things. Web developer on the side. I do a couple things. My main stuff is obviously online personal training, creating content, making music, and my podcast.
That's amazing. I didn't know you were also a web developer. How did you get into that?
So when I was creating my own site for my business, couldn't afford hiring one. I just tried to practice myself, and then I got better at it. I've always been a creative. Like I used to draw when I was little, so like design came just naturally to me, and then just learning the back end stuff, formatting the site, that just came naturally to me. So yeah, being broke
That's
is good
awesome.
sometimes.
Yeah, I love that. So my background is in graphic design and taught myself how to custom code. And I feel like being in the personal growth space, like it's such a incredible skill to have because you can build your own things and you can make them beautiful and you don't have to rely on someone else. So sidebar, but I think that's really amazing. And you have had quite the journey. And I'm so inspired by everything you've created at such a young age. Take us back to the beginning of your story. I know you say in your bio that you were born not breathing, and that seems like a very significant thing to note, even though obviously they got you breathing and you're here and you're living your life. But it sounds like your journey started out a bit tumultuous. And I know you also dealt with abuse in childhood, both at home and at school. So just take us back to what childhood was like for you.
So yeah, I was born, technically dead. I wasn't breathing. My alveoli weren't working. For the people listening, your alveoli are little balls in your lungs that pump air, and then they weren't working properly. And then so the nurse missed it, and the doctor quickly called it. Like literally, if it was a couple seconds, I wouldn't, like you said, I wouldn't be here. So I was intubated, put on a respirator, and then I started to breathe. And I didn't really. My mom told me that when I was in middle school. I didn't really give it any weight, any significance, because I was like, oh, okay, I'm here. Until I got to like high school and started to mature a bit, like wow, and started maturing my faith, especially like from birth, like I was, the enemy didn't want me to be here. So that, moving forward from high school, my mindset really started to take shape, right? It started to form a perspective on its own versus my peers. So yeah, I was born in Nigeria. I wasn't breathing, and then I'm breathing now. We came to America when I was 6 and a half, and it was rough. Like in Nigeria, like it was definitely rough. Like it's a militant governed state, so like I'm used to like military, like running around with like AKs. Like that's what I'm saying. And when I came to America, obviously we didn't have much, as far as finances and resources, because the currency differentiation is different. Every one U.S. dollar is 150 naira, and we barely, made it over here as it is. So we were living with, church friends and, just trying to gather up. Like my parents' degrees didn't translate. So they were trying to like getting odd jobs just to make some money. And we finally got an apartment in Perth Amboy. Um, it's not like a crazy place, it's not like a really like, terrible place, but it's like a very low income area, very very ghetto hood, and people weren't getting killed every day, but people were, they were selling, you know, bad stuff, right? So in school, obviously bullied. I had an accent, and I didn't fit in. This is not, I grew up 6 years in a completely different world, and I immersed in another different world. So, how little kids are too. Um, so yeah, the bullying was obviously, bound to happen. And when I got to fifth grade, it became physical. So, I have strict Nigerian parents, right? Like, discipline a child, you beat them, whatever. But it was like I would go to school, I'd get picked on, I'd get bullied, I get beat up, and then I get suspended for fighting. Like, I'm getting beat up, getting suspended for fighting. Like, to me, I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. And I go home, and then I get punished for getting in trouble. And then I was just on a repeat cycle. Like, literally, I went to summer school, not because I was actually pretty intelligent, like very intelligent. But I missed so much school from being suspended, so I had to go to summer school. So my parents were just like, "Yo, it's just a bad kid." Da 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 da. So it was like physical abuse and then lots of verbal and emotional abuse. Like, I'm not gonna be nothing. You just keep getting in trouble, keep getting in trouble with the law. That was stupid. By the way, I'm not like I don't have any convictions or anything like that. It was some stupid stuff. But yeah, it was just like my life, like my outlook on life when I was a kid was just like I got dealt the bad cards. Like I understood like some people just are not good in life and some people are. And I felt like I'm just not good. Like all the bad cards, it's me. Like I'm just gonna live a life of like failure, whatever. Until I watched this game, Giants playing somebody I don't remember, and I was watching Brandon Jacobs just completely run people over, and I'm like, yeah, I want to do that. Whatever this guy's doing, that's what I want to do. So fast forward, we move out of that crazy place because of an incident. Actually, made us move, and we went to like a suburban area, still in Jersey. I was getting in trouble, not as much. Like it got better. Um, and then in seventh grade, my guidance counselor took me. Like, was like, you need to do something. Like, you need to do something productive after school. Not because I kept getting in fights. Because towards the end of fifth grade, before we moved, I was like, I'm getting suspended anyways. I'm gonna start fighting back. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why I was scared. I was really short. I didn't hit my growth spurt. I'm 6 foot now, but I didn't hit my growth spurt till about eighth grade, going into high school. So I was really short. I was short. I was a little chubby. I was like the perfect target for anybody. Like perfect target. So and then I started fighting back, and I was like, I'm getting in trouble regardless. So I might as well get some punches in, not be called, names. Like so, I started playing football and just completely changed my whole life. Behavior and started making friends, especially after the second year. I got really good at it, just naturally. I've had an aggressive lifestyle, so being aggressive on the field wasn't a problem. So I excelled quickly at football, and then, like I said, I had a growth spurt. I grew like 4.5 inches going into freshman year, so that was nice. Um, so yeah, like I was doing this, playing ball, and then it wasn't until sophomore year I was like, yo, this is what I want to do. Like I don't want to go to some office, some cubicle. Like that's not me. Um, so I really started to focus on like training, and like that's when I started getting closer with God, and just like because I was like, I need you to do this impossible thing. Like it's hard. Like obviously like less than 1%. So yeah, I went after school. So I started my first collegiate career at the Division 3 school, and then I ended my career at, well, I don't know about ended, but so I graduated. I graduated last year from Tufts University. I got opportunity to transfer and play over there, so D1, and it was great. Like that's one of my first. Like a lot of people when I was in school, like you're not going D1, right? I actually transferred in high school, just because of that reason, just to get better opportunities. And that was like a huge thing for me. Like I finally made it. Like all that hard work, like when it pays off, like it just feels good. But that was a little momentary, and that kind of sucked too. And now I'm in a stage of like I have another year of eligibility to play. I'm at a new school, another D1 school, and I need this year to do good to go to the next level. Right? This is the ultimate prize. So my whole life is basically just like Like my purpose is spreading the word of God through overcoming all the adversities I've been through in my life, and just like God just loves throwing BS in my way, just every level. And I'm trying to I'm trying to get used to it and mature. And like when like trouble comes and adversity comes, like this is an opportunity for him to do something great, right? And I just try to look back in my past, like all the things that have happened. You know what I'm saying? Being born dead, the abuse, just being told I couldn't do anything. So just my story is basically just overcoming that. And then yeah, when I got to college, I was like, I just felt like I needed to help people because like I'm going through all this mess, and I was just so focused on me, right? And I mean that's okay. I tell like it's my life, right? It's your life. You got to make sure you're okay. And then I was like, I want to help other people. I actually got cut from my first college. I didn't do anything bad, but I actually got cut from the team. So that's but that again that adversity like I went through. I think that was the first time I was like depressed. Like I was like
Mm.
I worked so hard to get to a level, and I actually got recruited for D1 my senior year, but just didn't get into the school academically, and I wasn't a high enough recruit for them to bring me in. You know what I'm saying? So I worked so hard for this thing, didn't get it, but I'm like kind of there. So I'm like, okay, you can still go to NFL from D3, and I'm working, and then this gets taken away from me. So I was really low moment in my life. That's the year I started my podcast actually, because I needed something, right? I needed to get it out, and then an opportunity came, 2 years later, a year later, to play at a Division I school, and I was like, this is God. I don't know what else because I have no qualifications. But I got the call, and it was great. So yeah, that's when I really like I want to help people. Like other people are going through terrible things and even worse than me, right? There's always people going through worse situations than you. So the podcast definitely was a way to like, okay, let me try to give value to these people. And then training people. I love fitness, I love working out, and people always want to get in shape. And it's not when I got to probably like my junior year, and I was like, wait, like obesity rate just keeps climbing and keeps climbing, especially in the black community, hypertension, all these things. Like, but you could just exercise and eat right, and you can prolong your life. So it's easier said than done. I'm an athlete, so it's easier for me, but for other people it's a challenge, right? So I'm like, I'm definitely a great communicator. I'm definitely great at like negotiating. Like I went to school for communications, and I'm great at like having somebody not want to do something. And like fitness, like once you start doing it, you enjoy it. Increases dopamine like naturally. Like you enjoy it once you start. So it was just the initial push of getting these people to like start it, and they're like, oh my god, like yo, I just love going to the gym every day. Like they make it part of the routine, and I love that, right? And with some of the clients I work with now, like I work with the older demographic. So like they actually like doing like my programs, like my online programs, it actually really helps them live longer, move better. Like they go through their lives better.
Yeah.
Like I don't wake up with back pain. I'm like that makes me feel so good. You know what I'm saying? So that's what really that's like I guess a nutshell, a little 5 minute nutshell of the
That's
story.
amazing. There's so much good stuff. There's so much that I want to talk about. I want to go back to I love those moments. Like purpose is my purpose, so I'm always fascinated by people's journeys to finding their purpose, and we're shaped so much by our lives. Like everything from you being born not breathing to like immigrating here to your experiences with abuse in school to like what happened in, like all of that shaped you into the person that you are now. And so I love hearing people's stories, and I would love to hear from my own personal curiosity. I think a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people have moments like you did watching the football game where it's like something seemingly insignificant and random and ordinary and everyday just like changes the trajectory of your life. And so I would love to just hear like what was it about watching him play that like shifted something in you?
So like I said, like my childhood was I didn't really have much of a childhood, right? And I'm the oldest of three, so like when I wasn't being punished or getting in trouble, I was taking care of my brothers because, like I said, my parents were working multiple jobs, and dad was going to school, and my mom was getting like she's a nurse now, a registered nurse now, but she was like she started from the bottom, like working in a nursing home, the LPN, and CNA, and climbing to the top. So they've always been just like occupied. So I've always been like that parental role from like six, five, six. Like I've always done that. My mentality was survivor, like survivor mode. That's what I was living in. And in that day, I just remember watching him just run people over. Just nobody was stopping him. I was so excited, like the joy. I didn't feel that ever, like because like I knew the state I was in constantly, surviving, just nonchalant, Until I watched him do that, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is awesome. Like I need to do this. But you know what I'm saying? Like it just ignited something, and like that's so true. Like that little moment just completely shifted trajectory of my life, and a lot of people do miss that. And I feel like it's just about being aware, and like there's a point. It's like I was so low that when something high like that ignited that feeling in me, I was able to pick it up. I don't want this to come off the wrong way, but maybe some people, maybe they're not that low. Maybe they're. It's I'm not. I never judge anybody's trauma or pain. That's completely wrong because I know people who do that. But this is just a thought. Like sometimes maybe they're not, and they don't recognize it like that, or maybe they're too busy, especially like for older people. We're really busy, so it's harder for us because I was a child. I think my brothers were with me. We were watching TV. I think mom was asleep, dad was at work, and I just remember watching that. Boom, boom. No, dad was home. I remember dad was home because dad changed the channel after I saw that, and he put on the news. And it was crazy because I didn't play football until like a couple years later. I went out of my mind. Some crazy story happened in school. Like kids were picking on me, and then I was just like, they were talking about sports. I was like, I play football, big liar, of course. And just for them to, because I knew it was cool. I'm like, this is like the coolest thing ever, because like I made that recognition. This is so cool. And then I didn't want, just that day I just didn't want it. And the teacher was like, oh, you play football, huh? Remember, I'm short as heck, new to the country, little. And they're like, how many points is an extra point? I was like, one. He's like, how many points is a touchdown? Six. And he was like, how many points is a field goal? I was like, three. And like, I got it all right. And I've never watched a full game. I just watched like it was like probably 2 minutes of that offensive period. And then my dad changed the channel. Never watched the full game. And again, that's another moment that didn't really come to me till I was mature, like probably like my freshman year, sophomore year in high school. I'm like, wait, how did I know those answers? Because I never watched the game. Like, how did I know those answers? So I feel like people really just have to be aware because there's so many things that happen around us. Like, literally the other day I was walking home. I got a client because I just was walking past them, like two guys. I was like, hey, what's up? I was like, hey guys, how you doing? You know what I'm saying? And we just started talking, and they're like, oh, I need to get in shape. And I was like, what? Like, you know what I'm saying? Here's my info. Like if like we need to be more aware of just like the stuff that's
Yeah.
happening around us, like because there's so many things happening, like so many things happening, and like we're so busy. It's not our fault. We're so busy. The way the world, society, like we have to do so many things just to stay afloat, right? And it's not. I hate it, but yeah, just being aware really got me to have that recognition.
That's incredible. And you're so right. It's like having this space too, like whether that's like in your life or internally to even notice the way things resonate with you. Like that was such a big moment of resonance. It's those moments to me are magical, even though they're not. They're fortunate moments that if we pay attention, like again, they can really influence us. But you could have missed that moment. Your dad was there and he turned on the news. And so I love that it was just like this little blip, even though it didn't show up as something in your life for a little bit longer. Yeah, talk to me a little bit about, you said football was such a big like transformational experience for you, it sounds like, in a lot of ways, because you started making friends and at some point you grew and you were part of a team, which I know I didn't play a lot of sports myself when I was younger, but the things that I did do that were team oriented, like that teaches you a lot about relationships, and it teaches you a lot about yourself, and having a goal and having an outlet for this part of you that was reflected when you saw the other football player on TV, like that. To me, those moments of resonance are like oh, me too. Like we see something in someone else that activates a part of us that's ours, that's always been there. But what was it like for you? Like share in a little bit more detail. Like how did starting to play football, having a different relationship, it sounds like, with kids your own age at that point, like how did that shape you more as a person?
It definitely, like I said, made the biggest impact in my life. Because like my whole life, I wasn't needed. Like I wasn't ever told like I was needed. Wasn't ever told anything positive. Like never anything positive from nobody. So that first year I played football, I did okay. But the second year was when like things really took off, like in eighth grade. I started, and I just remember the first game, like just doing so well. Like we won. Like that season was great too, but just that first game we won, and the coach was like, after the game was like, the man did this, the man did that, like we couldn't this, but like I'm just like, oh my god, like what I'm saying, I appreciate that because the first year I wanted to quit, I hated it, like all the running, and our coach, I still talk to him to this day. Our coach was terrible. Like I played with the older kids because of my weight. I wasn't, so I was getting hit by older kids. I didn't like it at first, really. Actually, I was scared, and we used to run all the time. We used to be the last group there. Like parents used to wait and just watch. Like he used to punish us, and I'm like, why am I doing this? But I'm not. Before, it was go to school, come home, like, and I hated that. Right, I hated that. So this was like when I felt that needed feeling, and I got praised for doing something. First time I'm doing something like good, and like I'm good at it, and it's fun. Hitting people like you're a little boy, like it's fun. Like boys liked it, stuff like that. So I feel like just that feeling of being needed. And then we had like, I remember this kid on our team, his parents, like they had money. So he always had stuff at his house, like barbecues or whatever. He had a pool, like, so we always go there. Sometimes I got picked on too, like that first year. You know how like people just draw on each other and, make jokes, but like it's mean. It's like, but it's not so direct, like microaggression stuff. But it was still like I'm hanging out with people, like we're having fun, and just that feeling because I've never done that before. Like I said, I was in survivor mode. I was in survivor mode. Even still, like when we moved, I was still in survivor mode. Right after being in a season for your whole life, you don't switch in 2 months. That doesn't happen. Right, it takes time.
Mm.
So after that second year, when I was like, I was needed, I was praised for doing something that I was good at. That team aspect, like football is really like a team. Like you have to be, it's a team. Like you can't win. It's one of the sports like you can't, like you can have key players, but it takes 11 guys on offense, 11 guys on defense, 11 guys on special teams to win the game. And like that, like I said, that first year I wasn't that great because of my physical abilities. And then I that's what really got me. That's what started my journey with Christ because I'm like, yo, God, I got it. I want to be good at this sport. Like I love it. So I started just working hard. That's when I got into fitness. That's when I started researching like how to grow muscle. Like you know what I'm saying? I've been in this fitness game from since middle school, like researching. I got my first set of weights. Like I was doing it all, just trying to be that person for the team. Though it was for the team. Like I wanted to be better, so I can make the team better. And then once like that first game, that second year, after I'm getting all this praise, I'm like that hard work paid off. I need to put the foot on the gas, work even harder. I guess that whole process, like that process, helped me find myself. That's why when I work with some of my clients and like working out, it's physical at first, but it's very, very mental, right? You get to a point where you have to talk to yourself. You have to push past a lot of things internally and mentally so you can see the physical attributes of it. So that's where I think just my process just happened a whole lot sooner. I was going through that process, mental elevation, focus, all these different things, just because I wanted to get physically better for my football team that I was now a part of that I'm getting all this praise for. So it was a lot of dynamics within just playing football, practice, team camaraderie, like all those different things that made that transformation happen.
It's so true about fitness. During the hardest seasons of my life, working out is something that has grounded me and saved my sanity at times. During those times, I've actually gotten into the best shape of my life because I wasn't doing it from this place of like, oh, I need to like look hot and I need to like whatever. It was just, I need to feel myself in my body. I need to feel like I'm solid and I'm sturdy and I can like move through this and I have this like base. And so it was always for me, from this place of grounding back into my body and just feeling solid. Like there was one point going through a bad breakup and I think I was dealing with financial stuff that I did like a ton of core work, like full body, but core work. And there was something about my core being the strongest that it ever was that it's like, I felt really rooted and I felt really solid and like I could take on anything. And it wasn't about how I looked. It was just about like having that physical strength and having that groundedness in my body and feeling good and having energy and mental clarity and like an outlet for my stress and things like that. Like it was just transformational. And it's something that I personally go back to, like when I've gone through challenging chapters or big life transitions, like I'll just start running, or I'll just like, I just need to lift some weights. And there's no aim other than like, I just need to come back to my body and I need to know and feel how strong I actually am. I would love to talk a little bit about the faith piece. So was faith, God, religion, whatever it was for you, was that something that was a prominent part of your life growing up? Or did you have a relationship to faith? Was it just something that was there because your family did it? Like, what was your relationship to faith growing up? And yeah, let's start there.
So yeah, I grew up in a church. Dad was a preacher, well, is a preacher. So I grew up in the faith, but it was just like, for me, just going to church, like I believed in God. Like as a kid, it was like I believe there's a God. I believe Jesus is real. He came, died for our sins. Whole yada yada. But there's a difference of like believing and like having a relationship. Two different things. I didn't start my actual relationship until sophomore year in college. That's when I got baptized and started actually being intentional about my faith. But it was sophomore year, going into the spring of freshman year of high school. So going into my sophomore year, that's when it started. Like I'm like talking to God more, like I want to be better at football. Like I want to be D1. I want to get to NFL. Like I'm saying, because I know, like I said, I grew up in the church, so I know God is real. I know Jesus is real, and I know they have the power to hook me up. You know what I'm saying? So, before it was, I never done that. I was like, went to church, prayed, and come home. Like I never, throughout the week, it was just living life, right, surviving. But yeah, going into my sophomore year in high school, that's when that's when it started. Me saying like, hey God, like I need your help, right? I need your help. And that's when like I started to really put effort into football. Like I was waking up early before school to get a workout in. After school I was getting a workout in. After practice I was trying to do all these things to get to that level, because I feel like God was telling me like, you want to get to that level, okay, cool, you can get there, but you have to be putting in the work. It's not easy, right? And like when I talk like now where I'm at right now, like the NFL is like, I just need this one good year, and I got the door in. For other people, it's like NFL. Oh my God! But it's like once you like get into it and go through the process, and it's everything's condensed, right? Everything's really really condensed, and it's a different perspective versus like an average everyday person, like who goes through a 9 to 5 and then gets drunk on Sundays just to watch NFL games, and you meet him one day and it's like, yeah, I'm about to be in the NFL, and it's like, oh my God, and I'm like, don't look at me like that. I'm just like you. Like it's not really, the hard of a process. You work hard, you get yourself in shape, you go to school, you play well, and you get to the league. It's really not a hard process. But so that's how God simplified it for me. You know what I'm saying? And that's when, and I talk about this a lot on my podcast. There's two different kinds of people in this world. There's people who watch and people who get watched, right? And honestly, like we're all like consumers, especially in the social media age. Like, everybody has their days when they scroll, like we can get lost on TikTok sometimes. Like we're all consumers. But there's people who like, they're scrolling and like, they just throw their phone down and like, I gotta go do something. Rather than some people who like sit there for hours and hours and hours looking and consuming that content. And again, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that. To each his own, right? For me, it was like, okay, I want to get to NFL. And I'm telling people this, and they're like, what? And then I'm hearing it. I'm in the midst of hearing it and, taking it all in. But in my mind, I'm still like, what do these people think? Like, these people are dumb. I'm going to NFL. And that's when it immediately switched, because at first it was, I want to. Right? I'm telling people, like, that's what I want to do. Like, saying middle school was like, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to go to NFL. That's what I wrote every time. I still have some of those books. Like, I want to go to the league. This is what I want to do. I want to play D1 ball. This is what I want to do. Going into my sophomore year, it was like, I'm going to NFL. And that's when it was like, I started pursuing God more, right? But when I got to my sophomore year of college, going into my sophomore year of college, that's when I got baptized. That's when I was like, I fully, like, need you. Like, I can't do this without you. Like, I need you. Like, I need to be intentional, right? I need to be intentional. I need to live every day with Jesus, not just Sundays. It needs to be, and not just when I want to do good at football, right? I'm like, even without football, God, I need you in every other area of my life, right? School, business, relationships, all these different things. I need to be intentional. That's where football changed my life in every way, because if it wasn't for football, I don't know if I would have got closer to God, because football led to my purpose. And that's why I try to tell people, like, you need to find your purpose, because your life will be all over the place, like chaotic, if you don't know your purpose. It's like trying to fish with no food on the hook. You're just throwing it out there and just hope a fish comes. No fish. But once you have that food, like, you have purpose, because you throw it in the water And the fish are
Mhm.
gonna come to you. The fish are gonna come to you because you have that purpose. You have that food, right? And like a lot of people just walking around aimlessly. It's no purpose. And so football definitely helped me find my purpose. And Jesus was who I needed to get to that purpose and to accomplish all these different things that I was told I couldn't accomplish. And here I am accomplishing them one at a time.
It makes me wonder because, and I've had a lot of conversations with people about faith, both my clients and in life and on this show. And I think there's a common misconception with faith is that if you are faithful and you are obedient to God or whatever your religion might be, that nothing bad will ever happen to you. And so I would love to hear your take on, having had challenges in your life and growing up before, and you had some relationship to God and to faith, but it wasn't as strong and intentional as it is now. But I would just love to hear, yeah, did you ever waver in your faith? Did you ever question God? And what would you say to people that are like, I've been faithful but things aren't happening?
I was questioning God last Tuesday. Like it's the complete opposite. It's the complete opposite. It's the complete opposite. Like if you like are on this Christian journey and like I always tell this like when I talk about faith, number one, I'm a sinner, I'm messed up. Like that's why I need Jesus. So don't put me on no pedestal ever in my life. Like I'm a psycho in my head. You just don't know it. Um, but that's why we need Jesus, right? Because we're messed up, right? I'm messed up. That's why I need him. And if you're on this Christian walk, your life is gonna be harder. It's harder for us. It's not easier, right? It's in the Bible. Like the latter would be better than the former, right? Our latter days would be way better. We're wiser, we're more mature, we're more established, have more resources, right? So once I started, like when I got baptized, I think it was during camp. I want to say it was during right before camp. I got baptized my sophomore year, and then I got my position changed like a few times, and then I was playing defense, and then my coach was like, because I was running the ball for like a practice for the starting defense, right? I wasn't starting defense, so I was just sitting there. And they're like, "We need a running back." I'm like, "All right, I played running back in high school. I'll do that." And I was just cooking them. Just next day, they're like, "Demir, come back." I'm like, "Okay, keep in mind to play defense." And they're like, "Come back." Because after I got baptized, I'm like, "Come back." And then cooking them again. And then coach comes to me, he's like, "You want to play? You want to play running back?" I'm like, "What?" He said, "You want to score touchdowns?" I said, "Hell yeah!" So like right off the bat, got my position changed. So I'm like, "Oh my goodness!" Like I just got, what I'm saying, I got baptized, I got my position changed to a position I prefer, like I enjoy. It's that's what I play now. And then it's like a couple of days go by, I'm working with the starting offense. I'm like, I just got here, and then a day later, I get thrown back to like practice squad, and it's like, didn't play that season like on the field, playing practice, and then it was like, God, I thought I was gonna be the next guy. Everything was promising, showed up to be the next guy, and then just fell, and then and then I get kicked off the team. And it was like, because that year I was coming off a stomach virus, I lost like 30 pounds. So it was just like I'm thinking things are going to be good, things are going to be better, and it's a maturity thing. Like we have to understand it's maturity, like, and the grape doesn't come, like the wine doesn't come unless the grape is crushed. The plant doesn't come unless it's buried, right? So and these all these analogies are here, and sometimes we just look at it like a cliche, and they're just analogies, and it's hard because when you're going through that storm, you're very sensual. Humans are very sensual beings, right? I'm a very emotional person. Like I'm a very emotional person. So when I'm going through something that's testing those emotions, I'm not looking at logic. I'm not looking at the word as much as I should be. I'm not being intentional about the word. I'm not being intentional about my faith. I'm just going through like my emotion. Like you talking about a bad breakup, I just went through a bad breakup like weeks ago, like 2, 3 weeks ago, and it's like I'm trying to be focused, running my business, doing different things, getting ready for ball, like, and I'm having all these things like go on, and it's like God is telling me like yo, like I just moved to DC. I just moved to DC with my girl. A month later, we break up, and I could barely pay rent when we're together. You know what I'm saying? So you think of the financial
Yeah.
situation is like everything's crazy, and so it's like God is like you have to trust me, bro. Like, right? You have to trust me, and like these storms for anybody listening who's a Christian or just became a Christian, just became baptized, and you're going through hell. Yeah, that's the life. You're gonna go through a lot of hell. You're
Welcome.
gonna go through a lot of welcome. That's the welcome sign, right? That's the welcome sign. I always tell people this, like, especially on your purpose, that's how you're getting tested. That's how you get tested because people really want this life, like this successful life. Everybody wants it, right? And because I have boys in the NFL, and it's like I always use football as an analogy because most people, like especially in America, like football and watch football. So you want to go to the NFL. Are you ready to work 16 hours a day? Because you have to wake up around 4:30, depending on how far you live from the facility. Drive to the facility, morning workout, meetings, first meetings, then practice. Then after practice, treatment, and then meetings again, and then recovery. You have to check out with the medical staff, and then usually this is NFL. Most guys get another workout in, right? You got to be the best. So you get to the facility at like 5 a.m. You don't leave till about 6:30. You get home. You gotta go to bed. You got to get at least 8 hours of sleep. So you gotta go to bed around like 8:39. So you come home. You have 2 hours to yourself. Do you really want this life? I tell people, like, do you really, like, you want to be a doctor? Do you know how many years of school you gotta go to? Like, you want to make six figures. Do you really know what it takes to actually make that money? Like, they ain't just like wake up and $50 million in the bank first day trying to, first day they made started their business. No, this joint is hard. This joint is really, really, really hard. So that's why it's easy to just get that 9 to 5. And again, like if you're doing that 9 to 5 and you're happy with that, cool. To each his own. I'm not ridiculing anybody. I'm just giving out, different perspectives. Like it's hard. It's
Yeah.
super, super crazy hard. So if you really want it, it's a test. It's all a test. And I got kicked off my first Division 3 school, like, and this is coming from a guy, getting recruited D1 senior year. Like I go to Division 3, but I still have to work hard. Then I get kicked off. It's like, I had parents telling me like, "Yo, just do school, finish, get your degree, like, get a job." All right, parents, just get a job. And then if I stopped, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be on this podcast right now. I would have my own podcast. I would have helped over 127 people lose weight and get their life on track and so many other different things. Like I wouldn't be here. That value would have been lost. And that happens to so many people. Like we experience shortcomings, we experience trauma, we experience pain, and we just let it crush us. And it's hard. I'm not saying it's easy to just overcome that. All right. I got kicked off. I was in a ball and like at the corner of my coaching office crying. I'm in a ball. I'm a grown A man. I don't know if I can curse on here. But
You can.
oh, I can? I'm a grown ass man crying, like shedding tears. Like I didn't even like nobody came, thank God. But like 2 3 minutes, I'm like, yo, I don't know what I'm about to do. Like I couldn't think. Football is my life. It saved me. Like it saved me. And I'm like, I'm in my mind. I'm like, I'm done. I'm talking all the negative thoughts. You're done. You about to be a narp, just a regular person. I don't know that life. I've never known that life. I've been playing football for a decade. I don't know that life. I don't know what it's like to not play football. And I went through 2 years without suiting up. Like that was really, really hard on me mentally. That's when I really started, looking at my mental health because football was that outlet. I knew like from like July, August to December, I can put on the pads, I can fuck somebody up on the field and release all that tension. I'm good. Like that season, you couldn't get me angry. You really couldn't. Like if I'm like go to, I already know practice. It's gonna be a great practice. I'm gonna be a superstar. You couldn't get me angry. And to have that taken away from me, like it messed me up. It messed me up in so many ways. But I needed to be messed up, right? I needed to get back to Jesus. I needed to really, get things in line. I needed to grow. That's what happened. I grew. I got planted and I grew. The Chinese bamboo tree, right? I heard this from somebody. This is not me, so don't think I'm that wise. But the Chinese bamboo tree, like when you plant it, it doesn't show any sprout for like 5 years. 5 years, nothing. But you have to water it though. Like you have to keep watering it. You have to
Yeah.
keep it by sunlight for 5 years. 5 years. But that fifth year, and like within 90 to 100 days, 120 days, it grows over 60 feet. Like what? Over 60 feet it grows, but you have to keep watering it. 5 years, you don't see
Yeah.
nothing. Like you don't see nothing. Like I'm a Christian man, so like Noah building this ark for how many years? People call him stupid and like da 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 da. Like people experience these things in their lives. Like you want to start this business and you don't make any money for 2 years. Like keep going, change, pivot, do what you gotta do, but keep going. But it's like if you stop, you will never like. If you stop, I heard like I forgot who said it. I always hear a lot of things and I forget who said it. But
Me too.
if you're like working for your dream, like you're working for something, and You're never gonna lose if you don't quit. You will never lose if you don't quit because you're still working. And if you die, that's the best thing to happen if you don't make it, because your legacy. If I die right now, my legacy would be like, and they see all the things I'm doing, all the things I was putting in the world, all the value I put. This guy was working towards the NFL. I didn't go to the NFL, but they will. That's what I'll be remembered for. So that's what you're going to be remembered for if you're continually working for that dream. If you're continually on that path, grinding. You know what I'm saying, putting in value, putting in hours. That's what you're going to be remembered for. So what's the point of quitting? Because what's the alternative? I just said this in my last podcast. It's a 50-50 chance. Either you make it or you don't. Versus quitting, and it's a 100% chance that you're never going to make it.
This is all in the vein of talking about faith. And I think you brought up something that's really important to touch on, which is like the people, especially parents, but there will be people in our life that out of their own sense of fear or their own limiting beliefs or their desire for us to be safe and comfortable will give us bad advice. And to their credit, most of them mean well. I think about, and I put this in my book, one of the hardest moments after my trauma and loss, where I had run out of money and I was like living off of a $150 check that I cashed to make sure that it wouldn't go to overdraft fees. And someone very near and dear to me was like, do you think maybe you should get a job? And I was like, no, like I have to see this through, and I have to see this through, even if it means I lose everything in the process. And granted, I had a level of privilege being that I don't have children to take care of. Like it was just me and a couple of cats. Like I had more leeway to take that risk, but you know, this person meant well. And I think that there's this piece of faith both in like that greater energy at play, whether you call that God or the universe. I know that's different for everybody, but like having faith in God, having faith in yourself, having faith in your purpose, because when we're going after our purpose, we don't know what that's going to look like. And sometimes it has to get harder to shape us more into the person that we need to be. Like you're talking about this moment that you could have easily called it quits. Like, well, I tried and I got kicked off the team, so I guess that's that. But like that was a test of your faith. That was a test of your commitment to becoming who you're here to be and to going after the thing that you said is important to you, and having parents that are like, go get a job, go take the safe path, and being like, no, I'm gonna give myself to this. Like it's a really challenging, like I don't want it to be like, oh, it's magical and inspiring. It is, but it's also like naming the fact that those choices are not easy at all, and it takes a lot of faith.
You're absolutely right. You know, they do mean well, right? And it's like, because and for those people now, I feel sorry for them, because everybody has a dream. Everybody, you know, is given value that it's supposed to put out in this world. And for some people, they took that other route and settled. And you know, I feel bad because I feel like everybody should accomplish their dream. I was talking to my guy, like there's a lot of money out here for everybody. It's not just everybody can be rich. Literally every single person on this planet can be rich and be living comfortably and not have worry and all these different things. So I feel bad. I feel really bad now, like being mature and understanding what I know about like pushing for your dream and you know working hard. And but you're absolutely right. It's you know you're gonna feel every emotion on this journey like 50 times over. And it's not, and that's why it's a test. That's why not everybody has it. It's not why everybody could. Some people can't handle it. Obviously, some people get the riches and the wealth, and you know we see what happens. They can't handle it. So sometimes those people, it's God saving you, because if you got what you actually wanted, you probably kill yourself within that year. That's an unfortunate truth. But for people like us, you know, we're blessed to be given what we're given to that spirit, that drive to you know keep going until we get it. And then if we die, we die. But you know, to keep pushing. And I mean, you're obviously an inspiration for somebody to keep going and keep working, regardless of any kind of opposition. I'm still on that path. I ain't make it yet, but I appreciate it.
Well, it's still inspiring, and I would love to talk too about like you're doing all of this. You're going after your dream to be on the NFL, and you're navigating so much in the process. And you started your own business. So what was it like, and how did you get your business off the ground?
So I've been training people, personal training, since junior year of high school. Obviously, I didn't have no LLC or sole property, anything like that. I didn't even know about what those were. I just people wanted me to get them right, and I got them right. I'm like, you're gonna give me some money for that. So I've been training people for a while, and it wasn't until last year where I, you know, became official as a business. But I was talking to my boy, and he was like, you know, looking at my social media, I was like, you have so much potential. Like, what if you, you know, you need to be registered. You need to be doing all these different things because that's what he was doing. And I was like, wow, what have I been doing this whole time? Like, I just thought I was really just I was growing my social media, and I was, my thing was like, all right, get to like 100K followers, I could sell stuff, right? Because I have 100K followers. That was my thinking. So a lot of people, we have to be available to be stretched, right? We have to be vulnerable enough to let people speak into us, and open enough to see different lanes, right? So I did that, and that's when I started learning like web design skills. And I also had the podcast going. My first year of podcasting, I did okay consistency wise. Second year, I plummeted. I just fell off. Just life, transition to new school, football, different things. And then last year, I put out only 8 episodes. And that at the end of the year, when you get your Spotify wrap up, I was so disappointed in myself because 8 episodes. I'm on like episode. I'm on episode 8 right now. When this season started this year, but I did a bonus episode, so I'm on like the ninth episode, which is still not great. I missed a couple weeks, but it's way better than last year, and I'm big on that, being better than what you did yesterday, being better than what you did last week, last year. So the podcast is, like I said, was a thing for me, and then it became like I understood the value of it business wise, right, marketing aspects of it, and so obviously I'm going to continue with that. So and it was like playing football in college really gives you tools to time manage, right? It allows people to increase your time management because playing football is a job. Like I said, like what I talked about in NFL, it's similar in college. You have to, 5 a.m. workouts, um, 8 a.m. class throughout the day, meetings throughout the day. It's time to do schoolwork. Like you have to manage your time.
Yeah.
Like you have to learn how to manage your time. And yes, some we have help, we have advisors and things like that. So and it helps us like, okay, this time I got to do this work. I got to get this paper done. And especially like if you're traveling during the season, like, okay, I'm gonna miss like Thursday because I'm gone. I'm going out of state. I got to travel. I'm not gonna be back till Sunday, right? So if I have something to do Sunday, Saturday, I got to get that done early, right? So it forces you like you have to get this done, and you can't play if you don't have if you don't have good grades. So it's like you could BS and then which I the semester. You got to have good grades to play, right? So that kind of gave me those tools to like be able to, and like I have like I think I have ADHD or something like that. I've always had a hard time focusing in school, like ever since I was young. Like the littlest thing could distract me, and that was part of the things like you're never going to be anything. You can't focus. Da 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 da. But now it's like one of my biggest like assets because I'm a great multitasker. Like I have, if you see my tabs, oh my lord, on my computer, it's crazy. But I can, I can, and a lot of people have this, right? Like a lot of people were like older now who have a lot of tabs on their computer. When they were younger, people told them like, you're not gonna be nothing, or they have ADHD, or they can't focus. Like, and it's just crazy to see like similarities in people. But yeah, like I'm a great multitasker. I can work on a project right now, boom, boom. I get distracted, bored, go on another project, and like end of the day, I just finished like 4 projects, 4 different tasks, right? And I still may still have some time in the day to do other things, right? So I was just blessed to be able to recognize that. Then yeah, I can do a lot of things, and get things done. So I can record a podcast episode. I can get a workout in. I can get a client in. I can get this paper done. Um, all in a single day span, and have the rest of the week to do other things. So it was just progression, right? For me, it was getting acclimated to what I had right now, and then progression, right? So I had the podcast, boom, and I started learning the web design, working on the websites, boom, boom, and then I had class, and it was better when college is really not that hard. Anybody in college, you have time to do it. People just procrastinate. I'm a procrastinator too, but so it helped me like, okay, I gotta get all this schoolwork done, and then I got to get stuff for business, and then I got to practice. I come back, I'm tired. So it's just time management, right? That I was able to be blessed to recognize my skills of being a great multitasker, and the skills that was I learned from playing football in college for managing my time properly allowed me to do different things, right? The podcast, football, clients, the training, the web developing, and then the music aspect came, and music for me, that's also a blessing too. Like I'm able to, like I can write a song in like an hour. I remember my second latest release that is like actually it's like trending right now. Well, it was in Atlanta. I don't know if it still is. I gotta check.
Nice.
But I wrote it in a walk. Like I went on a walk, and my boy sent me the beat, I heard it. I was like, oh, this is fire. So I went on a walk, and it was like a 3 mile walk, and I wrote like the hook and like two verses on that walk, and then like that week I wrote the other verse, and then the song was done. Like, I mean, and it's like it's value. It wasn't like da 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 mainstream typical, fucking bitches getting money da da da. No, it's not. That's not what it was. Like all my music is straight from the heart. It's about my trauma, my pain, my feelings, girls that broke my heart. That's what I write about. Um, Relatable things. So like, that's just a blessing for me to be able to create that in such a short time. And then it's all about booking a studio session, recording it, mixing it, and boom, it's out to the world. So I'm able to do these different things and get them all done. And it seems like, oh my God, he's just this superior whatever doing this. No, it's not that. Um, it's definitely not that. But it's just like I give all the credit to God, and I always will, because it's a blessing, right? It's a blessing for me to recognize the tools. Like a lot of people have these gifts that they don't even recognize, right? And it's they're walking value. They're just the next freaking cure to cancer is walking around thinking they're not shit. Like
Yep.
and it's hard. And that's why like I try to just be love everybody. Like I meet somebody new, I'm like I love you. I'm like what? Number one, no, chill out, chill out. Like it's weird because and we don't experience that, right? Like I like love older people. I don't like to call people older. Like chronologically superior. I love them. Like you know what I'm saying. People from like 30s and up. Like because I walk down the street. I'm a big walker. Hey, hey, how you doing? Like the other day, like I got this new client. I said, hey, he's like he was 50.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, how you doing? How you doing, brother? What's up? But people walking down, I'm
Yep.
walking down the street. I see people like in their cars, like at this stoplight. Literally, the whole street on cars. I'm like, damn, it's that bad. So like we're not in touch with each other. And that's what's causing all this chaos in the world. Like people can't communicate. People can't be empathetic. Like I meet somebody new, like I love you. Like God bless you. Hope you have a great life. Peace. Like if people could just be like, it's not hard, right? It's not hard, but that's how, and that's what I'm blessed with to try to look at in life, right? And try to how I try to treat people, how I try to treat people. Again, I'm not a perfect human. I'm like a psycho, but you guys don't know that. Um, so like, that's what I try to look at in life, and it's a blessing. It's a blessing to recognize the gifts that I have, and it's a blessing to utilize it because um, and this is in Proverbs. I forgot what verse, but having knowledge, a man who has knowledge but doesn't apply them is considered the same as a fool. But a man who has knowledge and applies them, that's wisdom, right? So wisdom is not like being born like with a fat ass brain and higher IQ. No, it's going out and finding the knowledge. Because that was me. Like I wasn't always the smartest person, but I knew where to find the knowledge. I'm like papers. Like I was so good at research. Like I can find the info like that at 11:30
Yeah.
paper due at 11:59. Speak it into the Google Docs and get it written 8 pages in like 20 minutes. Like you got to be able to finesse. But I'm not smart. It's not about being smart. No, it's about knowing where to find the knowledge and apply it. Like we have to apply the knowledge that we have. And I'm not saying I apply everything I know all the time. I'm a human. I mess up sometimes, but that's wisdom. And I'm just blessed again to be able to recognize where to find the value, how to use it, and actually using it, actually like applying it. I
Yeah.
don't know if you know if you were on Clubhouse when it was popping from like last 2021 November to like 2022 like March, like no 2020 November 2021 like February.
Yeah.
Clubhouse was popping. People on there like heavy hitters, influential people, just giving straight value. And somebody I forgot who said it, and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna drop some gems right now. 90% of you will not be successful because you won't write it down." And I'm like, "Wait, I have not been writing down anything people have been saying." So like literally that week, I still have a notes of like Clubhouse gems filled with stuff. Like that's what I'm saying. I haven't used some of it yet. Like some of it, I'm not there yet. I don't have the capacity to use it, but when I do, I know where to go get it. Right. So a lot of us, we have the value and we know where to get it, but we're not using it. Right. So it's a blessing to recognize that and then be able to apply it.
I hate to end the conversation because it's such a good, powerful, inspiring conversation. And I'm just having so much fun talking to you. But it is about that time. So we're going to link to all of your amazingness in the show notes. But please tell people where they can find you, how they can learn from you, and how they can work with you.
You can definitely find me at most social media handles at Minion Training. That's my My training page on IG, my podcast page is underscore Mania Motivation. The name of my podcast is Mania Motivation. My website is miniontraining.com. It's under maintenance right now, but you can still fill out, contact info and join my newsletter, and I'll definitely, get back, reach out back to you. I help anybody who's just in need of help, right? If you're struggling with mental health, definitely listen to my podcast. If you're struggling with your weight, definitely fill out a form on my website, and I'll, get back to you. My music, just type in Dominion all caps on Apple or Spotify. I'm an R&B singer. I'm not rapping about doing drugs and other bad stuff. Yeah, that's where you can find me.
Beautiful. Well, Dominion, thank you so much for taking the time. I had so much fun chatting with you, and I am very much looking forward to cheering you on when you're in the NFL. And yeah, check out his podcast. It's amazing. I really loved it, and I love how digestible it is and how powerful it is. And you have a great voice, so it's like all the wonderful things all together. But thank you again for being here and for taking the time.
I really, really appreciate you. This was such an honor. This was so fun. Hopefully we can chat again.